Good morning, everybody. It's Friday, December 1st, 5:27 a.m. Central Time. Grain market's a little bit lower this morning. Matt Bennett, you guys are having a big grain marketing party here in Nashville in February. We're all going to be there. I'm going to be there. Mackenzie's going to be there. You're going to be there. Tell us a little bit about this deal.
Yeah, so basically we've just been in business, I guess, for the last 4 or 5 years, and putting together a meeting each year. We've tried to figure out, who do we want to have there that people are going to want to listen to, hard hitting type stuff. You guys are going to be there. Of course, we're going to do a show. I think that'll be pretty interesting for folks to see, but we're going to have a few different people that we didn't have last year. Dan Bozzi, Dave Hightower, Randy Dowdy, a little bit of a different type of group. Eric Snodgrass, I think, is probably as good to listen to, from a weather standpoint. I know there's a lot of really good ones, but I really enjoy just seeing some of the graphics he puts together. But we've got a really good group along with our in-house people. So I'd say some of our in-house people are probably as good as what they get, like Ryan Split, of course, that comes on with you as well.
Go to agmarket.net for some more info. I'll throw a link to that deal in the YouTube description. Let's kick it off here. Corn market price action yesterday.
So corn futures rallied on Thursday. The most heavily traded March 24 contract gained 7 cents per bushel, while the December 23 contract, now in delivery, gained 12 cents per bushel. The market was supported by strong weekly U.S. export sales. U.S. corn has become more competitive on the export market as of late. The December 24 contract has been able to hold a trade above $5 per bushel this week.
Matt, I'm going to give you my version of events as I see it. The way that corn marketing went down this year, what I have seen. So first off, if I had to make a bet, I can never prove this. I would bet there were a record number of basis contracts versus this December contract this year. We had a record corn crop. We've got an undersold farmer. That would be my bet. So it goes like this. We had a drought in June, right? And farmers were scared to sell into it. I think because of that, there was a lack of forward sales. We then caught these rains in July, and we ended up with a record crop, right? Basis contracts were attractive because farmers didn't like the futures price, but they wanted to generate some cash. We're in a high interest rate environment. Loans need to be paid back. If you do a basis contract, you're going to get half the money. You might get 2/3 of the money, whatever. There was never $7, $8 corn available for 2023 like there was in 21 or 22. So the farmer, in my view, was caught in a bad position, and the market has a way of sniffing out bad positions and really sticking it to you. And I think that's exactly what happened. I would bet that there were a whole bunch of these basis contracts priced earlier this week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And unfortunately, I'm not happy to report it, but that may have put a short-term low in the market, maybe even a long-term low.
Yeah, I agree. I think you hit the nail on the head in totality. I think the only thing I'll add to that exacerbated the situation is that the producer had so much freaking money invested in this crop, and this is coming on the heels of 2 straight years where they just banked money. I mean, now I know not everyone had a big crop in 21, 22. I know that, but overall, the U.S. producer just made a ton of freaking money in 2021, 22. You come into 23, you got all this money wrapped up in the crop, and you're like, a very common thing that people are going to tell you or going to tell me is, man, I can't sell at $5 or I can't sell at 5 1/4 because I can't make money there. Well, you know what? Nobody trading the CME gives a rat's whether you can make money or not, right? And so you've got to understand that bottom line is, as a producer, you're behind the 8 ball. This was a tough year to market. This was very complicated year to market. You come in here, I do think that there's a low in place for now. I feel the same way. I mean, it just had a different feel to it over the last 2 or 3 days. I kind of felt like with these basis contract situations that might be one of the catalysts. So, I'm not saying we're going to take off on a screamer, but I could see us moving back closer to $5 again. I mean, I think there's a possibility that we see some sort of action like that happen.
Yeah, I think the basis contract deal this week, I mean, you could talk about export sales, you could talk about Brazilian weather, you could talk about the river, whatever. That was the biggest deal this week, bar none. And now it's over.
Sure.
So those basis contracts have all been priced or rolled. There was probably some roll, but that wasn't a super attractive proposition with these massive carries out to March and May. So it's just an unfortunate, it's a shitty situation. All right, let's get to another situation here.
JBS and the North American Meat Institute, along with other large meat companies, will promote meat as environmentally beneficial at this year's COP28. also known as the UN Climate Change Conference. The conference is known for creating global policies to reduce climate change. The meat advocates plan to promote their product as sustainable and focus on carbon-friendly production practices. The conference is firm in its belief that unless swift action is taken, methane from agriculture will cause irreversible climate change around the world. But according to the EPA, agriculture accounts for only 18% of global greenhouse gas emissions, far behind the energy sector's 73%.
There are a lot of different statistics out there, and I'm not a scientist. I'll tell you this. This is the most hypocritical bullshit that there is on the planet. You got a bunch of elites flying private jets to a country that was built on oil money to talk about climate. Why do you need 70,000 people at a climate conference? Why do you need 70,000 people there? This is a clown show. It's a clown show. Maybe they're right about the science, but they're doing nothing to make progress here.
No, and they had a ribeye on the way over there too,
Exactly.
and I mean, yeah, they're going to eat the way that they want to eat, and then they're going to tell, us peasants that, hey, guess what, guys, you're going to eat. We don't really want you guys. I mean, freaking cows. Are you kidding me? The airline industry is contributing significantly more whenever it comes to pollution. I mean, I think that's clear. We all know that. But bottom line is, this is good news that you got someone actually going to promote this. It's sustainable. I mean, and I think there's a lot of people that have sniffed this out, said, whatever. I don't believe this. So I do think that people are, not to go down a rabbit hole, but just kind of waking up to, hey, what do I got to do to latch on to my freedoms? And I think that this sort of a conference here gets people's attention.
This is probably one place where like the cattle producer, the meat packer, the corn grower, they can all like hold hands and say like, hey, you people can fuck off because this is all bullshit. This is the statistics. This is the sort of stuff that we're fighting. This is a quote from this Guardian piece. Animal agriculture is the largest emitter of methane, a greenhouse gas 80 times more potent than carbon dioxide when measured over a 20-year period. Scientists said that unless swift action is taken, methane from agriculture alone will push the world beyond a 2.7-degree rise in temperature above pre-industrial levels that risks tipping the world into an irreversible climate breakdown. I'm not a scientist. I don't want to be accused of being anti-science here, but I don't know. The whole thing is just, it's a bunch of nonsense. Any other thoughts?
It's far-fetched, and it's just like you said, the science seems a little bit wonky. And then also, if these folks want to do away with agriculture, I'd like to know what they plan to eat when we do away with agriculture.
Yeah, I don't know. Screw them. All right, what's next?
Brazil's soybean crop is expected to reach 150.67 million tons, according to consultancy firm Patria. The estimate is down from last season's 154.1 million tons. The projection is one of the most aggressive soybean cuts by any private group this season. Patria also reduced its estimate for Brazil's second corn crop to 82.45 million tons, down 18 million tons from last season. The consultancy group is relatively new on the scene, as it was just established back in September in Mato Grosso.
I feel like Patria's been around longer than that. In any case, new low man on the totem pole here. What say you, Matthew?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's just like what we saw this last summer, Joe. I mean, you and I talked about this a little bit on Wednesday. So, whenever you have weather issues, which you're always going to have weather issues, of course, the next person that comes out with a lower number is going to catch a little bit of news, catch a little bit of attention. And I'm not saying that they're wrong. I'm just saying that, my personal opinion is these genetics are capable of so much more than they ever were able to be, to do before. I mean, I was surprised, to be honest with you. We did catch a couple of well-timed rain events in our area, but we were dry this year. And you come in here with the kind of production that we've seen. So, I think that there's been some extreme conditions in Brazil. There's no doubt about it. But you've got such a massive expanse of acreage to spread it around. I still think you're going to have an awfully large crop. But I think corn's the bigger question mark than beans to me, as far as where I'm standing right now.
I think they're both a big question mark. I mean, is 150 the number? I don't know. It's too early to say. I mean, they're still planting in Brazil. It's too early to call the crop. In terms of weather here, near term, not much on the radar here this morning. I'll tell you what, Argentina's improved, and they've got some more rain on the radar here this morning. Brazil is going to catch some rains beginning Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and then we may shift drier again. So I'd call the forecast kind of a mixed bag. And the trade is probably looking a little bit more deeper into this. Like, what's the extended stuff look like? What's it look like 10 to 15 days out? But we do have some rains coming here the next couple of days.
U.S. corn export sales were strong last week. Net corn sales of 76 million bushels surpassed pre-report estimates and reached a marketing year high. Sales were up 35% from the previous week and 54% from the prior 4-week average. Unknown destinations were the largest corn buyers for the week. Net soybean sales were also impressive at 70 million bushels, up a whopping 97% from the previous week and 10% from the prior 4-week average. China was the largest soybean buyer. Net wheat sales surpassed pre-report estimates and came in at 23 million bushels, which was up noticeably from the previous week and from the prior 4-week average. China was the largest wheat buyer for the week.
China bought SRW and HRW wheat last week, and I think we've seen some SRW purchases. The HRW amount was not huge at 63,000, but that may have been the reason that wheat futures rallied a little bit earlier this week. And now, of course, that it's confirmed, we're kind of back lower here this morning. It's good news, though.
Absolutely. Export sales were fantastic. I mean,
Yeah.
you look at corn, I mean, that's the kind of news you need if you want to see this corn market. I mean, several things kind of came together, but that certainly didn't hurt us yesterday. I mean, we already talked about the basis contract thing. You come in here with export sales of that tune, and to me, it gives you a little bit of hope that, maybe we're going to have a bit of a base here we're going to be able to build off of. But export sales across the board, I mean, you call unknown what you want, but my distinct opinion is that corn, beans, and wheat, your largest buyers were China, and we're getting a little bit of, I guess, scuttle, if you will, that, they've had, the Chinese government has said, we could go ahead and buy another 28 to 30 million tons of corn. And so if that's the case, I don't know where they're going to get it from. Of course, it might not all come from the U.S. We know it won't if they can avoid it, but I still think they're out there shopping right now. So if that's the case, I think it's good news, of course.
Yeah, unknown being the largest buyer in corn with a really big week is suspect. It reeks of China. I hope it is. I feel like the market would maybe be acting better if it believed that was China. But we were up yesterday, and yeah, we're down a little bit this morning, but could look different by the close. We did have a flash sale yesterday. Lesser story, I guess.
Yes. U.S. exporters sold 134,000 metric tons of soybeans to China for delivery during the current marketing year. As of yesterday, the accumulated book for U.S. soybean export sales was running 17% below last year's pace.
All right, we'll comb through that. What did cattle do yesterday?
They had another down day, of course. Feeder cattle futures closed an average of $1.74 lower. Live cattle futures closed an average of $1.27 lower. Box beef did have a positive day. Choice ended the day at $299.02. That was up $1.99. Select ended the day at $264.75. That was up 66 cents.
Is the low been posted, Matt? I mean, chart doesn't look great. That's a bear market since September.
The chart doesn't look great since September, but the thing yesterday is that you didn't see sellers pile on like they did last week, for instance. You closed $1.70 off the low on April. I mean, I think that was a good sign. I mean, I'm not saying we're going to take off and move sharply higher. I know I was talking to Split about this a little bit, and he seems to think that there's a decent chance you're going to see some buying come into this thing. So I think for the time being, I'm a little bit skeptical, but at the same time, Joe, I always have to go back to fundamentals. And yes, cattle on feed's been strong 2 months in a row, but your herd size is not getting bigger. Bottom line is you're going to have some really tight numbers moving forward. And I think people are very skeptical to step in and go super short whenever they know some of those numbers are coming on down the road.
Cattle chart looks like Swiss cheese. You got at least two big gaps on there that I can see just glancing at it. It's been pretty ugly. Outside markets here this morning, guys, on Friday, pretty quiet. U.S. dollars about flat. Stocks are mixed. Bonds are mixed. Crude oil's up 26 cents in the January WTI 76.22. Have a great weekend, guys. We'll talk to you next week.